Now look at the format. We are trying to discuss the creation of objects. What is an object and how we are going to create an object. Object is nothing but table in the regular database. Online, am I audible? Fine. Object is nothing but table in the regular database. You call it as a table in the database. We call it as an object in the Salesforce. Any data you want to save in the Salesforce, any data you want to save in the Salesforce, we will save it in the objects. There are two types of objects what we have in Salesforce. One is standard object. Second one is custom object. What is a standard object? Objects created by the Salesforce are called standard objects. Objects created by the user are called custom object. Now, name some of the standard objects we have. Lead, account, contact, opportunity, order, contract, case, solution, knowledge. All these are standard objects. Now we have created a document. It is a standard object. Company profile is a standard object. Right. Financial year is a standard object. Right. So standard objects are created by the Salesforce to meet the business requirement of the CRM. To build the CRM functionalities, whatever the standard tables we require, they are already created by the Salesforce, which I am going to call them as standard object. Once the object is created, we can store the data what we need. The next point is, how do you recognize whether an object is a standard object or a custom object? Now I told objects created by the Salesforce are called standard. Objects created by the user are called custom. But looking at the object, how do you specify whether it is a standard object or a custom object? Now, every custom object will have an extension of __c. If I have customer __c, loan __c, payment __c. If you have extension of __c, it is a custom object. If I don't have that __c, it is a standard object. Now when I say standard objects, account, contact, user, profile, okay, lead, contract, case, all these are what? Standard objects. Custom objects will have __c. Standard objects will not have. By looking at the name, if you want to say whether it is a standard or a custom, this is the funda, this is the thumb rule what we need to follow. Okay. Now there are so many tables in the Salesforce. Out of those tables, how does the Salesforce recognize a individual object? In the database, there are a lot of tables. When you have so many tables in the database, how does the Salesforce recognize each and every object? How does the Salesforce recognize each and every object? For every object, Salesforce will give you 3-character ID. For every object, Salesforce will give you 3-character ID. Based on that ID, Salesforce will recognize every record. Salesforce by default will give 3-character ID. Based on that ID, Salesforce will recognize the object. Let me give you. Look at this. When I go to campaign, settle down first. Boss, people are going to stay here for. Look at the format. If you go to campaign object, what is the number you are getting here? 701. So for campaign object, they give 3-character unique ID. For campaign object, 3-character unique ID they give. For campaign object, 3-character unique ID. What is the ID? 701. If I go to lead, 00Q, accounts 001, contacts 003, user 005, opportunity 006. Now, contracts 800. So what happened? Every table you create in the Salesforce, for every table you create in the Salesforce, 3-character unique ID will be given. Based on that ID, Salesforce will recognize this is an account, this is a contact, this is a customer. Are you clear about it? In the database, we are going to have thousands of tables. Out of that, how does the Salesforce recognize a particular object? Based on 3-character unique ID. I hope you're good. Right. Again, I repeat. What is an object? Object is nothing but a table in the regular database. Any data you want to save in the Salesforce, it is saved in object. There are two types of objects: standard, custom. Standard objects, objects created by the Salesforce, like campaign, lead, account, contact, opportunity, contracts, orders, case, solution, products, right? Then user, profile, X, Y, Z. Now, custom objects. Objects which are created by the user according to his organizational business requirement, according to his company requirement, whatever the additional tables he require, he is going to create them. They are called custom objects. How do you distinguish between standard and custom? Custom objects will have __C after the name of the object. Right. Now, how does the Salesforce recognize every object? By using 3-character unique ID, which was offered by the Salesforce. Now, name: account 001, contact 003, opportunity 006, okay, user 005. Then we have lead 00Q. Like that, IDs are given. So generally, by looking at ID, I can say whether it's an account or a contact or an opportunity. Is that was clear? Okay. Now, I told you already, anything that was created by the Salesforce cannot be deleted. Once standard objects are given by the Salesforce, you cannot delete them. At max, you can customize or you can hide from me. Now, any functionality or tables created by the Salesforce cannot be deleted. They can only be customized or hidden from the current user as per your business needs. But you will not be able to delete them. Okay. Now, how to create your own custom objects? Now, if I want to create my own custom objects, there are 3 ways. One is standard navigation. Second one is schema builder. Third one is metadata SOAP API. Metadata SOAP API web service. Third one is programmatical way of creating. Using a web service programs, using a web service also we can create. So like Java application want to create one object in Salesforce. Java application want to create one table in Salesforce. Oracle, whenever I create a table in the Oracle, same table should be created automatically in the Salesforce. To achieve these type of functionalities, we go for web services. Right. So first one is declarative, third one is web service programming. Right. So standard navigation, schema builder, and web service programming. First, we will go with the standard navigation. Right. What is the standard navigation? Setup, build, create objects. Setup, build, create objects. We have new custom object. Setup, build, create objects, new custom object. Same story, lightning. In the lightning also we can create an object. I told you, administrative point of view, there is nothing change conceptually. Only the navigations are going to change here. Then what I'm going to do, setup, we have platform tools, then we have objects and fields, object manager, setup, platform tools, objects and fields, object manager. Then we have create new custom. Once you come to this, both of them are same. Only the navigation is changing. Setup, platform tools, object manager, objects, create custom object. Once you are done with this, navigation is going to be same. Okay. Once the navigation is completed, remaining steps are going to be same. Okay. Let me go with this. New custom object. First one we have label name. With what name object will be displayed to everyone? In the UI, let us say, I told display a list of all the standard objects. Now I told display all the list of standard objects. Now they are displaying. These are all standard objects which are there in the Salesforce. Right. Some of them you will be able to access, some of them you cannot access. Right. Now what is this? It is called label name. With what name objects are displayed to you? With what name objects are displayed to you is called object label. Now look at the point. I have created some tables here. Let us say I told customer info, invoice details, like this I have. Now I have created 3 tables here. User want to access a table. I have a user. This user want to enter the data or he want to read the data from the table. How he will open a particular table? In the database, there are a group of tables. In the database, there are a group of tables. When you have a group of tables, how will I open a particular table? Now I have group of tables. How will I open particular table? How can I open a particular table? To understand this, what people are doing, for every object, they are creating one tab. For every object, they are creating one tab. So when you click on the tab, when you click on this tab, this object will open. When you click on this tab, this object will open. When you click on this tab, this object is opening. For every object, they are creating one tab. For every object, they are creating one tab. For every object, they are creating one tab. When user clicks on the tab, now let us say I have Sharma. When user clicks on this tab, that particular object is opening. So how the user is opening a particular object? By clicking a tab. So for every object, we are creating a tab. When you click on the tab, particular object is opening. Now, how do I recognize this tab belongs to this object? I have to recognize this tab belongs to this object. So we are going to print some name on the tab. Generally, plural form. Generally, what is it? Plural form. Customer. If I give the same name, easy for you to recognize. I can give XYZ, but you have to by heart them. If I give similar name, easy for you to understand. So whatever the name that we are printing, whatever the name we are printing on the tab, it's called plural label. Whatever the name we are printing on the tab is called plural label, right? So for every object, we are going to create a tab. The label that should be printed on the tab is called plural label. It is not necessary that it should be a plural, but generally we take plural because it's a customer records, invoices, payments. If you want to give any other name also, we can give, but if you give similar name, easy for you to recognize the things. That is the reason when you go to this object, campaigns, leads, accounts, all these are what? Tabs. Labels printed on the tabs generally in the form of plurals. Contacts, opportunities, forecast. Are you getting? Like that. When you create an object, what you want to print on the object? That's called plural. It is only pronunciation part. Doesn't have much importance here. What is the object name? Actual name of the object. It is the actual name of the object. Programmatically, if you want to access that object, then we will use object name. Now, if you want to display, label. If you want to print on a tab, plural label. If you want to access programmatically, object name. I hope you are clear. Object name, label, plural label. Description, anything that you want to give to define the what type of information is there on the table. Then we have context sensitive help setting. Salesforce by default for every object they give one link here. Look at this. Help for this page. So when object is open, when you click on the tab, object will open. Now if you want any help regarding this object, what we do here? Help for this object. That is given for every object. On every object, help for this page link is given. When you click on that, document is opening, which can help you to understand what this object is. Right now, because they clicked on account, they are giving accounts here. Right. Next we have, similarly, if I go to contacts, contact page, opportunity help. So for every object they gave a link. When you click on the link, Salesforce standard documentation is opening. Salesforce standard documentation is opening. Now Salesforce is asking you, boss, whatever the objects I have created, I created my own document. When you create a custom object, for you also there will be a link called help for this page. When you click on that link, do you want me to open my standard documentation, or are you going to design your own documentation as a help? For every object, I am providing help for this page. When you click on the help, I am giving standard Salesforce documentation for as a help for you. Now you are designing your own objects now. For your object also, do you want me to open my document, or are you going to design your own document? I told open standard salesforce.com help and training window. This is Salesforce document will open. No, boss, I want to design my own page. Open the Visual Force. I can design any one of the page, select it. So when you click on this, your page will open. Is that was clear? This is what? With respect to your object. This is what? With respect to your object. With respect to your object, what is the help document that should be opened? It is called context sensitive help document. Context sensitive help document. I hope you are good. Okay. Everyone is good with that point. Clear for everyone. Now, Salesforce by default for every object they create one standard field. Any custom object you create, Salesforce by default create one standard field. Salesforce by default create one standard field. What is it called? Name. Salesforce by default create one standard field called name. So by default, this field is created for every object. By default, this field is created for every object. Now, it is a mandatory field. That means you cannot leave it blank. You are supposed to enter the data. By default, for every custom object you create, Salesforce is creating one standard field called name field. And it is a mandatory. You cannot leave the field blank. You are supposed to enter the data. Now the question is, what type of data I can enter? You told it is mandatory. I have no problem. I will use it. But what type of data I can enter? They told you can enter the auto number or text. Text means anything what you like you can enter, no problem. When you say auto number, system will generate the number. When you go to ATM, withdraw the money, transaction number, auto generated. Online application, auto number. Like that, system would generate the number based on the format what you mentioned. System will generate the number based on the format what you mentioned. System will generate the number based on the format what you mentioned. Let us take an example. Customer info. I want to give customer ID. Customer ID. This is the format. Start with, when you start with 1, CID. What happened? The moment you start creating a new record, this will auto generate the number. I told invoice, start with 1. So the moment I create it, invoice 0502, I told 19001. Right? So based on the format what you mentioned, system will generate the number. It is called auto number. You tell what is the format you want to use, based on that system will generate the number. So either you have to enter manually or make it as auto number. Now the question is, look at this. I hope you got my point. Now here, what is the type of field we have taken here? Name field, and they told it's a mandatory. But what is the data I want to store here? I want to store customer name. So I don't have any problem. Even in the UI, if it is, I want to show, can you please remove the legs from the connections there? Right. Now you are trying to enter customer name. I am also entering the customer name. The field name is also customer. No problem. Display the same. But here, when I say invoice details, here I am not storing any name. Internally, what I want to store, invoice number I want to store. When I say name, people may misunderstand that it's an invoice name. But what is the data I want to store? Invoice number. So I have to give invoice number. So field name is name only. But what actually you are storing? Invoice number. So when you are displaying to the user, if you don't display it properly, they may misunderstand that it's a name of the invoice. So how the name field should be visible to the users? That is called record name label. In the record, name field should be visible with what label? In the record, in the object, name field should be visible with what label? In the record, name field should be visible with what label? Which is called record name label. Record name label. Is that was clear for everyone? Okay. So look at the format here. Record name label and format. So I want to say it as customer ID. What format? Text or auto number? Text, no issue. Auto number, tell the format. Is that was clear? So every object by default will have one standard field which is called name field. How this name field should be displayed to the user is called record name label. Now, what type of data will be there? Text or auto number. Text means you have to enter it. Auto number, system will generate based on the format what you mentioned. I hope you are good with this. Right. Now, next one. Optional features. Optional feature means this can be enabled or disabled whenever you want. At any stage of the application, you can enable them, you can select them, you can unselect them. There is no issue. What are they? Allow reports. It allows you to create reports on the table what we have. Let us say it is a customer table. Give me the list of customers created today. Okay, give me a report. How many customers are created based on their cities? Hyderabad, how many new customers are created? Bangalore, how many customers? Hyderabad, okay, Chennai, how many customers? Give me the list of customers who are deactivated this month. What was that? We are trying to draw some conclusions on the table. Allow reports allows you to create a report on the data which is available in this table. Allow activities. It allows you to create a task and event on the table. Task, assigning a work. Whenever a new student join, assign a task to admin people to create a username password for the student on Satish Maila website. So what is that? When a new student is created, I am assigning a work to admin people to create a new username password for on satishmaila.in for the student. It's a work assigned to the particular person. Whenever a whenever a student send a request, join, accept his Facebook request, okay, assign to the HRT. Whenever there is an opening for the opening for 7 o'clock batch, whenever there is an opening, send a message to all 7 o'clock batch for who has completed the course, asking them to send their resumes. So what was that? It's a task, assigning a work on the data what we have. Event, all the students who joined for 8:30 batch, 8:45 batch who joined, was all of you attend extra session on Sunday. It is an event. All these people come and write an exam on so-and-so date for a practice test. It is an event. So if you want to create task or an event, we require allow activities. That is independent topics. We'll learn reports, activities, all are independent topics. Now, allows you to create report, allows you to create events and task. Track field history. What is this track field history? Let me demonstrate a quick example. Don't worry about the navigations what I'm using. So I have let's see. Now I have some sensitive data. When I have some sensitive data, I want to know who modified the data. I have some sensitive data. If anybody is modifying that, I want to know who modified it. I have some sensitive data. If any changes are occurring on the data, I want to know what was the old value, what was the new value, who modified it, when you modified it. Now let us see. I am going with this. Industry, I modified to banking. Industry modified to banking. Then they told at this particular time, Satish modified industry from electronics to banking. So what was this called? Track field history. If any one of the data in the table is sensitive data, if anybody is making a modification, I want to know who made this modification. Let us say online banking. You are taking a passport. This is sensitive data. I want to know when was your password modified, who modified. I want to know it. So I want to track it. It's called track field history. So if any changes occurring on the data, I want to know who who made these changes. I want to know who made these changes. So this is called as what? Track field history. Track field history. Track field history. So let us come back again. Objects. New object. Track field history. If I enable this, changes that are made on the data, I can have a separate table which will say when it was modified. Right. See, when you are modifying a field, there will be no level. Okay. Every time you modify, when you want to track it, every time you modify, it will save. It will say, okay, every time you modify, it will save. Every time you modify, it will save as a history. It will save as a history. This data modified by so and so at so and so time. Like that, every time you make a change, it will be saved. Not every field, whatever the fields you mention. Not every field, whatever the fields you mention, only that changes happen, they will track it. Now, allow in charter groups. If I enable this option, you can add this object in the charter groups and communities. If I want to use this object in the communities and in the charter group, we have to enable it. So allow reports, allow activities, track field history, allow in charter groups. I hope you are good with this. These are what? Optional features. This can be enabled or disabled at any stage of the application. Next, object classification. They are asking, you are creating this table. This table was designed. This table was designed. This table was designed. This table was designed for Lightning or Enterprise. Enterprise is your regular application. Now you are designing this object for the sake of Lightning or for the sake of Enterprise. Object created for Enterprise can be used in Lightning. Object created for Lightning only, object created for only Lightning application cannot be used in Enterprise because some of the features will not be there. Look at this. If I enable the allow sharing, allow bulk API, streaming API, if the following three are enabled, it is Enterprise application object. If any one of these options is disabled, this can be used only in the Lightning. Now, if the out of these three following features, if I disable any one of the option, then this object can be used only in Lightning. If I enable it, I can use it Enterprise. Now I can make it Lightning. Later I can go and enable, make it Enterprise. There is no issue with that. If you enable the three, Enterprise. If you disable any one or all, it is Lightning. I hope you are good. Okay. Now, with that you may be understanding the point. These options are, these concepts are not available on Lightning on an object. Okay. Then deployment status. Object is created. Then who can see this? Object created, okay. Now, who can see it? When I say in development, don't make this object live. Only administrator can see, no other user can see. When I say in development, what does it mean? Boss, object is still not ready for access. Only show this object to administrator. Only show the object to administrator. Only show the object to administrator. But only administrator can see, he can modify. Don't show this object to anyone else. Next, deployed. Deployed means this object is ready for live. Okay, this can be shown to all the users as per the security model of your company. If you want to make the object live, visible to the users, deployed. No, I don't want to make it live. I want only administrator to manage this object in development. Okay. Then search status. What is the search status? Look at this point. Now, when I click on United, it is giving the data, right? So, we are able to search the data in the account table, contact table, opportunity table from this Similarly, the data which is there in your table, you are creating a table. Whatever the data that is there in your table, can I search the data? Can I search the data from the global search or not? If I enable this, even my data can be searched from global search. If I enable this, even my data can be searched from global. Right. Next, object creation options. What are these object creation options? Boss, these options are available only at the time of creating a object. Once the object is created, these options cannot be enabled or disabled. Now, what is that? Add nodes attachments. We want to attach any documents to the record. Create a student, attach the payment receipt. Create a student, attach the resume of the student. I am maintaining a student data. Name of the student, all the data is payment receipt, and I want to store his resume. What are those documents? Now, along with the record, if you want to store any documents, we have to enable add nodes and attachments. Launch new custom tab wizard. What does it mean? After a creation of object, take me to the tab creation page. After a creation of the object, take me to the creation of tab. So, add nodes and attachments or creation of tab. I hope you are good. Now, let me revise all the points from the beginning. Let us see. What is the navigation we have? Setup, build, create objects. New custom object. So, we have label, customer, object name, customer. Context sensitive help, open, standard. Right. Now, record name label. I want to store ID here. Starting with 1. Optional features. Enable them. Disable as per your requirement. Object classification. Enterprise. If I enable all the 3, it is enterprise. Deployment status. In development, deployed. If I want to make it live, deployed. No, only administrator, development. Search status. You want this object to be visible, data to be accessed from the global search. You want the data to be accessible from the global search. Object creation options. Add nodes and attachments. I am not selecting the second option. In the next example, I will select the second option. Once it is created, what are you getting here? __c. Why __c? Custom. Right. Object is created. Click on edit. Again, we are able to see when you edit label name, plural name, everything we are able to see except last 2 options. Right? So I told you, once you create an object, the 2 options cannot be enabled from object creation. Now, once again, setup, build, create objects. Now, I want to take my one. Now, let us say load number, auto number. Then option my choice, object classification, deployment status, allow search. Now I am enabling second option also. If I enable second option and save, object is created, immediately it is taking you to what? Tab creation page. Object is created, it is taking you to tab creation page. Object is created, it is taking you to tab creation page. Now, I hope you are good with this format. Let me create any query on this first. People are good with this example. Okay, let me create in the lightning at the same time few more objects. Switch to lightning. Setup. Platform tools. Objects and fields. Object manager. Then we have create custom object. Create custom object. Here we are creating here payments, then context sensitive help, payment ID, so procedure is the same. Optional features, object classification. Now this object is created for lightning applications or classic applications. Deployment status, allow search. I hope you are good with this. So only navigation has changed, nothing else has changed. Right, boss? Okay. Now this is one of the way to create object. Now what is the second way we have? Schema builder. Now if you want to build 10 objects, then I cannot go with this navigation. If I want to create 10 objects, I cannot follow all this navigation. I want to have quick access. Then what I do, look at the point. Setup, build, schema builder, then elements, object, course, courses, course name. Then I have object, branch, branches, branch, data type text or auto number, but I was saying text. Drag and drop. I can take student, students, student name. Now what I'm doing? Just setup, build, then we have schema builder, go to the elements, drag and drop, right? But the point is permissions are not enabled on that. Again, I have to go to every object and re-enable the permissions. Objects are created, but I have to enable one by one. Then look at this point. We go to this create objects. Now we got branch, edit, not enabled. I was creating this. Now it was not enterprise, it's a lightning. I am making as enterprise. Like that, I need to come back and enable the permissions. But we can create the objects quickly, right? The same story on the lightning. Same story, how do you create objects using schema builder? Objects and fields. Then we have, then the story is the same. So if you observe this, navigations are different, but the conceptually they are same as per the declarative options are considered. Right, boss? Okay. What is the third one we have? Metadata SOAP. There is a web service program that will be learning in the web services, not at this point, but as the certification question is concerned, in how many ways we can create custom object? 3 ways. One is the standard, schema, and metadata SOAP web service. I hope you are good with this. Now, very important point. Very important point. How many objects can be created? How many objects can be created? How many objects can be created? Still we have spring 19 I require. We can say winter 19. Spring is going to be released. So let's check with the winter 19. They're going to be same, but I'm just trying to. Now, I just trying to spring 19 is released. We just want to cross check any changes are there. Otherwise, it will be the same. How many custom objects are created? When you say enterprise edition, it is going to have 200 objects. When you go to unlimited edition, 2000 objects. It's not available here. Fine, I'm not getting the PDF here. I'll just show the documentation what I have. Okay, I'll just give my information. Now look at this. I just want to show where to find these limits actually. That is the purpose of opening these documents for you. This is what the limits are. How many custom objects you can create? When you go to the custom objects, 2000 in unlimited edition, and we are going to have 200 in. We are going to have 200 in enterprise edition. Our editions are majorly what? Enterprise, unlimited. When you go to enterprise edition, it is a 200. Unlimited edition, 2000. Now, if you go to developer edition, 400. So commercial editions are what? Enterprise 200. Your unlimited is 2000. They are the limits for the objects. Number of objects what we can create. 2000 for unlimited, 200 for enterprise. Developer edition what you are practicing, you can create 400. Okay, boss. Okay. Now let us go to the next point. Now look at this concept. Whatever the object you created, very good. But how do you access these objects? Objects are nothing but table. Tables are created. How do you open these tables? We need to go for tab. Without tab, we will not be able to open the object. If you want to open the object, I want to enter the data, I want to modify the data, I want to delete the data. What I need is object. But how do you open that object? We require a tab. If I want to enter the data, delete the data, modify the data, I need to go for tab creation. Every object will have a tab. When you click on the tab, corresponding object will open where I can enter the data, modify the data. Look at this. Look at this structure. Accounts tab. Account page is opening. I can create a new record or I can open the existing records what I have. Edit, delete, open. Now when you click on the tab, object will open. You can create, edit, delete the data what you want. Now whatever the objects you have created, if you want to open those objects, what we require? Tabs we require. Now the question is how to create a tab. How many types of tabs are there? That we need to understand. First up, what is a tab? Tab is a interface between user and application. Tab is a interface between user and application. Now you want to open a page, we require a tab. You want to open a table, we require a tab. You want to open a site, we require a tab. So if user want to interact with the application, what we need is tab. So what is a tab? Tab is a interface between user and application. Now let us see this. Let us see this. Setup, build, create, setup, build, create tabs. How many types of tabs are there? Custom object tab, web tab, Visual Force tab, lightning page tab. If I enable lightning, we'll also have lightning component tab. Right now they are visible, okay, 4 are visible. If I enable it, we'll also get an option called lightning component tab. So custom object tab, web tab, Visual Force tab, lightning page tab, lightning component page, okay, component tab. What is this custom object tab? When I click on the tab, that object will open. What is web tab? When I click on the tab, web page will open. Visual Force tab, when I click on it, Visual Force page will open. Lightning tab, lightning page. Lightning component, lightning component. So if you want to open an object, custom object tab. Want to open a web tab, web page, web tab. Visual Force page, Visual Force tab. Lightning page, lightning tab. Lightning component, lightning component tab. So basically 4 tabs are visible to you. Custom object, web tabs, Visual Force tab, lightning page tab. Okay. Now let us see custom object tab. Why custom? For standard objects, Salesforce already created a tab. For standard objects, Salesforce already created a tab. Now, look at the point. Custom object tab, new. Object. On which object you are creating? Custom. When you click on the style, when you click on the tab, what is the style you want? Next. Who can see this tab? There are 3 permissions. Default on, off, tab hidden. Default on, default off, tab hidden. Default on means you can see the tab, it is added on the panel here. You can see the tab is on the tab panel. Default off, you can see the tab but not on the panel. You can see the tab but not on the panel. But not on the tab panel. Click on the plus sign. Here you can see the tab. Default on, you can see on the panel. Default off, you can see but not on the panel. What is the third option we have? Tab hidden. You cannot see. Default on, default off, tab hidden. Let us say default on. For whom? Everybody I told. For everyone it is a default on. Next, whatever the tab you created, where you want to show this tab? I told add this tab to ICICI Bank application. Select the application in which you want to show this tab. Select the application in which you can show this tab. Right. Now, listen carefully, Emma. Listen carefully, everyone. Try to understand the point clearly. Now, this is my database. In the database, I have customer table, preventive. For every object, I have created one tab. For every object, I have created one tab. Let us say, for one object, only one tab can be created. On one object, only one tab. One object, one tab. Now all these tables belongs to same company, right? Now all these tables are ICICI Bank. Now they can use these tables wherever they want. So we created a objects. For every object, one tab. Every object, only one tab can be created. For every object, only one tab can be created. For every object, only one tab can be created. In the organization, I can have multiple applications. Now I have 3 applications here. Now this is a mutual fund application. This is a credit card application. This is a insurance application. ICICI insurance. Right. Now all these 3 applications is what? This everything is designed on same environment. ICICI Bank purchased some production where they have created some tables. For the tables we have created a tabs. We created 3 applications. All of them are in same production. Right. Now in this application, look at this. I have customers, employees. So in this application, we can access the following 3 tables. Again, customers, invoices. Now what happened? What is it? Same tab can be used in multiple applications. Same tab can be used in multiple applications. One table will have only one tab. If you want to use this table in the application, include the tab in the application. So the same tab can be included in how many applications? Multiple applications, because all these 3 applications belongs to which company? ICICI only. Now ICICI can use this data wherever it want. Right? So we create a table which is an object. For every object we are creating one tab. Can I use this tab in multiple application? Yes. Can I create a multiple tabs on the same object? No. One object only, one tab. One object only, one tab. Can I use the tab in multiple application? Yes. I hope you are good with this. Clear? Okay. Now let's go back once again. Set up, build, create tabs.
Satish, I have a question. Can I ask now or after this?
No, I'll give time. Now tab, go for this. Now I'm going with loan tabs tab. Then next, we are going with the next. Then what was that? To whom you want to show? Default on, default of, tabbed in. Still we have not discussed all these points yet. Right. So show the tab to everyone on the panel. In which application you want to show this tab? I told show this tab in ICICI Bank and mutual funds. Somewhere I give mutual funds. Yeah. Tabs are visible. I hope you are good. So go to this ICICI. You are able to see customers and loans. When I click on customer object opened, new, save. When I save, auto number generated. Okay. Right. Now in the Lightning, how do you create it? Classic I have done already. In the Lightning, how do you create a tab? Concept of tab is same, but navigation is different. Setup. Now we have platform tools. user interface, tabs, user interface, tabs, new tab, choose the object, payment, default on, show the application in which you want to add, ICSA and mutual funds. Is that was clear for everyone? Right. Once you add the tab to an application, once you add a tab to the application, you find three options here. Look at this. You're able to see payment, loan, customer. Okay, look at this. Lead, account, contact, customer, loan, payment. You're able to see them because you added the tabs to the application. Whenever we add the tabs to the application, we can find it. Then, whenever we add a tab to the application, anything that you create will be visible in the recent items. Look at this. Recent items, customer is created. And I can also search the data from global search. Whenever the tab is added to the application, three options are enabled for you. First option is global search. Second is create new shortcut. Third one is recent items. Recent items. I hope you are good with this. Clear for everyone? Clear? Right? Yes, online. Go ahead. Meanwhile, I copy the theoretical notes. Online, go ahead. What is your query?
Yeah, so Satish, a couple of questions. When we create a new object, right?
Yes.
The table getting created, and how do we link that to the traditional, the existing out-of-the-box table? How can you relate that? Is there any way we can relate?
Now, look at the point. He has a question. Now, look at the point. When you create an object, standard objects are by default created. Their relations are also created with the existing objects. Now, what is the relation between existing standard objects? Let us take Quietama. Now we have account, contact. Who established a relation? Salesforce already created a relation. Now the objects which are created by the Salesforce, they are to support the CRM functionality. Now whatever the relations that are required for the CRM functionalities, they already built it. Now whatever the new objects you are building, that is your business requirement. What is the relation with the existing objects that you have to decide according to your business? And who has to create? You has to create. Because the objects are created by whom? You. Whatever the standard objects are there, already Salesforce established a relation with this existing objects. Whatever you are building, you have to tell what type of association it is going to have with the existing objects. Because according to your business, you created this table. This table has what type of dependency or association with the existing. That's the primary point. Second, I told very clearly, if it is a standard object, you will not be able to create a tab because already tabs are created. If it is a custom object, then only you can create a tab. Now the question is, how do you relate a tab and object? At the time of creating an object, very clearly we told plural label. Second, at the time of creating a tab, I told very clearly, choose the object first. What is the step number one? Choose the object. Because you have chosen the object, tab is created. Tab is created for object what you have chosen. Is that was clear? Am I clear? Right. Did you get my point, boss?
Right, but I got the point. Satish, let's say there is a customer object already out of the box. Okay, I wanted to store more details about that customer. Let's say customer history. I wanted to create a new object and store it in my table. But how can I link that customer ID from the out of the box to my table?
Now the point again. Look at the point. Now you are creating an object. If you want to create a relation, you have to know what type of relations are there in the Salesforce. Right. You need to know what type of relations are there, how to create a relation, then I can specify you how data will be stored with respect to that. Now we are at the stage of creating only table, we are not seeing the relations. When you understand what type of relations are there, then I'll explain you how we can pull the data into a single table. Is that was clear? But as you ask the question,
okay,
there's a couple of relations like master detail, lookup, junction, hierarchical, external relation. With the help of this, we'll be achieving your requirement. Okay. But now I cannot discuss that. It's too early to come back to the point. Probably after creation of the fields, I'll be discussing. Okay, Nama?
Okay. Yeah, and one more question related to tabs, Satish. So when you said, when we create the tab, right, and you can see that in the multiple applications, let's say in your example, insurance and mutual funds and some other application, right? So if that object is viewing multiple applications, but I want the data specific to that application. So if I enter some XYZ data, that can be shown in multiple applications.
Let's get to the point. Now here's a question. You told like here's a question. I told like the same tab can be used in multiple applications. That means the same table is accessible to multiple applications. The data which is in the table is available to application. Now in that application, what data you can see, you can apply a restriction. Now when I say table is visible, doesn't mean that every record in the table should be visible to you. When I say table is visible, doesn't mean that every field in the table should be visible to you. Now, that is only a table what we are discussing. It is not about the data in the table. Then that's how we got data security levels. Now, when I say table is visible in multiple application, now on what basis you are saying this data belongs to this particular table application? Now, let us say I have a customer boss. I have a customer table. Right? Now, there is a customer who is taking a loans, customer who is taking a credit card, customer who is taking invoice. In all the three cases, what is he? Customer only, no. Now it is a banking application. Person who opened the account, it is a separate banking service. If you open the account, you are still called a customer. If you take a loan also, you are called a customer. If you take a insurance also called customer, but classification will be there. What is that classification? Maybe you may create a extra field to identify what is that. I may create a type banking service, type loan, type credit card, or else you may have some extra UIs to classify that. Now, how do you classify? We need to decide again with respect to the fields. Right? Internally in the Salesforce, we have a concept called record types. With the help of that, we can classify it. Okay. Is that was clear, boss?
So, yeah, all this will be in the next coming classes. So, yeah. Are you going to show?
Exactly. Now, that's what I told. Please do not compare entire application with what we learned. Okay, we are only in the ABC of the topic. So you are just moving to the climax scene. Still the titles are coming. Right.
Okay. Right. Okay, and one more question, Satish. So is I get that we can create a custom object with the __C.
Yeah.
But is there any way we can extend the out-of-the-box table, existing out-of-the-box table?
Extend
by adding some column, new column.
Now,
let's say
again,
customer is already there.
Let me make it. Here's a question. Can we add any extra things to the existing table? 100%. Now, Salesforce has told account. In my case, he is a customer. Salesforce is calling a like inquiry we got. As per the CRM terminology, it is a lead. Now, when I'm making this lead for an insurance application, I will collect your age, I will collect your date of birth, I will collect your habits. Do you smoke? Do you take alcohol? Do you have any existing disease? This is my take because I'm taking insurance application. Now, the same lead I'm taking for automobiles. When I go for automobiles, I'll ask you your age. I'll ask you, do you have any existing vehicle? Right? What is your salary? This type of data I'll be collecting. So, when you want to customize, when I say existing application, you want to customize according to your requirement, what do you mean by customization? You're changing the tables, adding the extra fields, or changing the labels, changing the options. This is all what we are going to do. So, Salesforce is giving some standard functionalities. Now, they may not meet your requirement. 100% of the requirement cannot be met. I told you, no CRM application in the world which can satisfy all the customers in the world. Right? Obviously, you have to modify it according to your business. It may be by adding extra fields, maybe by modifying the existing fields, or maybe in XYZ format. Right? So, what is the conclusion? What I want to give is, when I say standard object, doesn't mean you cannot add anything. I told you, standard objects cannot be deleted. It can be customized. What do you mean by customized? Modifying the existing or adding extra things. Right, boss? I hope you got my point. Right? Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Right.
So, now, Satish, while creating an object, there was an option allow in chatter and communities. Could you please explain that?
See.
What will be the difference between
chatter, yeah. When I say allow in chatter, what is the option? Now there is a charter group of people sharing their information. If you want to use this data, this object in the charter groups, if you want to add this object to a charter groups, we need to enable that option. If you want to use this object in the communities, we need to enable this option. If you want this table to be accessible in the charters or communities, we have to enable this option. Is that was clear? Allowing charter group means this object is accessible in charter groups concept. This object is accessible in communities concept. In those two concepts also we can use this object. Right, boss?
Will you explain this in future?
Obviously.
By showing that? Okay, fine. Thank you.
Right.
I think you were saying about enterprise application object when we check the three options. What makes it different from enterprise application object to lightning object?
Now, lightning, I told you very clearly, boss, the final response. Lightning is single page application which is accessible to all the three devices, mobile, tab and desktop. Whereas the enterprise application, you have to build separately for mobile and tab. You build an application, but you want to access from the mobile and tabs, you need to have customizations on it. So enterprise is a regular application which is a classic. Lightning is a single page application where the same page is accessible to you with response to mobile, tab and desktop. The underlying architecture is going to be different. Okay, boss? Your enterprise is a classic lightning. Other one is the lightning. Lightning means what? Single page application. What do you mean by that? When I build a page, the same page is accessible for your desktop, mobile and your tabs. Generally, when you go for a regular application, what happened? For mobile, we have to build separately, tab we have to build separately, desktop we have to build separately. But whereas here, same page is accessible on all the three. Right, boss? Is that was clear?
Yeah, thank you. That's clear.
Standard objects are already
Now,
enabled for
first, let me complete the theoretical part. Right.
Okay.
People feel that class is closed. Okay. Let me finish up the theory. Just now, let us see what are the theoretical points we have got. Let me finish off the theoretical points. Once again, objects. So, what is the object? Objects are nothing but tables in the regular database. Any data stored in the Salesforce will be saved to objects. Two types of objects what we have, standard and custom. Standard objects which are created by the Salesforce, okay, account, contact and XYZ. Custom objects, these are created by the user to meet his business requirement. Custom objects are identified with __C. Classic, setup, build, create objects, new custom object. When you go to lightning, setup, when you go to lightning, we got setup, platform tools, setup, platform tools, okay, platform tools, objects and fields. Then we have objects and tools. Then we are supposed to go with object manager. Then create new object. Create, I missed out one point here. What was the point? Object manager, create custom object. Now, object label. Objects are displayed with the same name on the UI. Plural label. The name that should be displayed on the tab is the plural label. Then we have object name. If you want to access the object programmatically, this name is used. Context, please mute your mics. Mute your mics. Right. Now here we have context sensitive help. On the, do you want to open a standard help or you want to open a custom page? On every object, Salesforce is going to create one link. When I click on the link, which document should be opened? Is it a standard one or custom one? Record name label. Salesforce by default create, okay, one standard field. Salesforce by default on every custom object create one standard field called name. With what label the name field should be displayed is called record name field. Now the field is a required field. What type of data will be accepted? Auto number and text. I give some formats here. Then optional features, allow reports, allow activities, track field history, allow in charter group. We are going to learn them separately. Everything is independent topic. Okay, we will learn them separately. Object classification, enterprise are classic. Okay, enterprise are lightning. Deployment status, in development or deployed. Allows you to search the data from global search. Object creation option will allow you to create this option at the time of creating a object. Schema builder, setup, build, develop, lightning bolt, schema builder, elements, drag and drop. In how many ways we can create a custom object? 3 ways. Standard, schema, metadata. Objects falls under which part of MVC? Model part of MVC. Model view controller. Objects falls under model part. Now, how many objects can be created? Depends upon the edition you have taken. Unlimited 2000, enterprise 200, developer 500, professional 50. In Salesforce, every object is identified based on 3 characters. Some of the standard objects I have taken: account, contact, user, opportunity, profile, XYZ. I gave some use cases for you to practice. Then tab. What is a tab? Tabs are the interface between user and application. 4 types of tab: custom object tab, Visual Force tab, web tab, lightning page tab. Custom object tab, when you click on the tab, object will open. Navigation, setup, build, create, tab, new custom object tab. Lightning, setup, platform tools, user interface, tabs, new custom. Then select the object, choose the tab style, choose the visibility, add the tabs to the application. Default on, default off, tab hidden. So web tab, click on the tab, web page. Click on the tab, Visual Force page. Click on the page, okay, tab, lightning page. Now, by default, there are 3 options which are enabled: global search, create new shortcut, raise an item. Okay, this is generally certification question. Right. How many tabs can be created on one object? 1 tab. 1 tab can be added in how many applications? Multiple applications. So this is the theoretical information. You can access this. Already hard copies are given. Right? Hard copies are given. Right. Yesterday notes they have given. Today notes they have not given. Can you call that boy? Right. Let me check with them. Object notes